There is former President Trump exiting the courtroom. Let's just watch and take in the scene.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about Donald Trump officially being arrested in New York City on 34 felony counts of lying about his financial records, lying about business records. I'm not really sure what the exact crime is. There's an indictment. I'll link to it in the description box. If you're on IG, link in the bio, go to the article on the website. The problem with the indictment is that it has some of what he's being charged for, but not all of it. Let's back up a little bit here to explain what's going on. Now, we all know what Alvin Bragg's office in New York City was investigating Trump over. It's the whole Stormy Daniels, $130,000, hush money, all this and that. The story goes that Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid Stormy Daniels $130,000 during the election cycle to keep her quiet, I guess, until after the election or permanently. And then Cohen allegedly invoiced Trump's companies and they paid him back. That's the allegation. And this transaction was somehow illegal, a misdemeanor really under New York law, which has a 2-year statute of limitations. So, $1 million question, how are we here right now in 2023 for an offense that allegedly took place about 7-8 years ago? Well, Alvin Bragg is trying to say that the falsification of records, a misdemeanor, was done to cover up a more serious crime, and that makes it a felony. The problem is he does not say what this serious crime is in the indictment. And when he's asked about it, doesn't have an answer. Matter of fact, let's see him say this with his own actual voice, and then we're going to get into the actual situation a little bit deeper. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
Thank you. Mr. Bragg, the indictment says that there were 34 false business records. And they were done to conceal another crime, but the indictment does not specifically say what those crimes were. We are assuming, perhaps, that they might be election-related. I'm wondering if you can specify what laws were also broken.
Sure. So let me say as an initial matter that the indictment doesn't specify that because the law does not so require. In my remarks, I mentioned a couple of laws, which I will highlight again now. The first is New York State election law, which makes it a crime to conspire to promote a candidacy by unlawful means. I further indicated a number of unlawful means, including more additional false statements, including statements that were planned to be made to tax authorities. I also noted the federal election law cap on contribution limits.
But why weren't there those crimes charged? Possibly charged with those crimes?
Well, I'm not going to go into our deliberative process on what was brought. The charges that were brought were the ones that were brought. The evidence in the law is the basis for those decisions.
So he's saying that there's no actual, that the law does not require you to disclose what the actual crimes that he's being charged with are in the indictment. You cite some other laws that may have been violated, but those weren't in the indictment. It's totally confusing. It looks like he has absolutely nothing, absolutely zero. Now, let's look at John Bolton on CNN. Okay, this would be a guy that probably would be on the opposite side. Let's see what he says about the whole situation, shall we?
For you, one big picture, what do you think of the indictment?
Well, speaking as someone who very strongly does not want Donald Trump to get the Republican presidential nomination, I'm extraordinarily distressed by this document. I think this is even weaker than I feared it would be. And I think it's...
Is he okay? What happened to his arm? Like, did he get on the wrong side of the Clintons? What's happening?
It's easily subject to being dismissed or a quick acquittal for Trump. Just speaking, going back to the days when I represented Jim Buckley and Gene McCarthy and the constitutional challenge to the underlying federal statute here passed in 1974, I can say there is no basis in the statutory language to say that Trump's behavior forms either a contribution or an expenditure under federal law, the two key definitions at issue here. If it did, it would mean that every single expenditure a candidate made could be taken to have something to do with his campaign. Do I buy a $1 comb to comb my hair or a $10 comb to comb my hair? If you can construe the statute to cover this behavior, then I think it violates the First Amendment, because you're deeply into territory that makes this statute, absolutely, federal statute, too vague for enforcement. And as what I understood the district attorney to say, that he thinks there's a New York election law involved here, all I can say is the Federal Election Campaign Act absolutely preempts any state or local law to the contrary. How could it be otherwise? You've got one law governing corporate finance in a presidential election at the federal level. You're going to have 50 state laws interfering with it. So he's just wrong on the applicability of the New York statute.
Very well said, John Bolton. Very well said. And as you heard him say in the beginning, this is a guy that does not want to have Trump become the nominee in 2024. Okay, this is not a pro-Trump person, but he's saying, yo, this case is weak. Like, just from a law point of view, it's a weak case. So what are we really doing? What's the actual purpose? I feel like I've seen Trump in court a lot over the past, 7, 8 years. Like, I've seen Trump in court a lot since 2015, 2016, definitely like toward the end of the presidency. Okay, J6, all of that. You're talking about 2 impeachments and all types of lawsuits and everything else. I feel like all this court action is a way to try and drain his resources and a way to try and monetize. They're trying to monopolize his time. So if you're going to be in court dealing with this nonsense, having to go to arraignments, having to get arrested, all this and that and the third, you don't have any time to be out there campaigning. You don't have any time to be out there doing your rallies. I think it's a way to just get him off of the campaign trail and occupy his time. It's really ridiculous. And you know what? I think they are glad. When I say they, I mean the opposite side, the opposing side, the left mostly, those that don't want to see a guy like Trump come back in office at all. I think they're glad there's no mugshot, because a lot of you guys might be wondering, hey, where's the mugshot, ABL? He got arrested in New York City. Should be a mugshot, fingerprints, all this and that. They didn't do that. He went up there on the plane, got arraigned, came back, and then that was it. No mugshot, because that was going to be all over T-shirts and merch and everything else. I was getting quite a few emails from the Trump campaign, like back to back to back to back to back. And it was all referencing the indictment, the arrest in New York City, raising a bunch of money that way. So a mugshot would have definitely helped him. I think as I close, that the arrest helped him overall, because it's clearly a nothing burger. Nothing is here, but we know it's some kind of like Banana Republic type situation. People are going to rally behind that, even those that may not be the biggest Trump fans are like, this is kind of crazy. This is ridiculous. And I'm going to put my support behind this guy and pay him some attention just out of spite for the ridiculous nature of this whole witch hunt. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about this arrest of the former president, 45th president, Donald Trump? Was it justified, unjustified? Whatever your thoughts are, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I'm at. This ain't nothing but a witch hunt and a way to occupy Trump's time, to monopolize Trump's time and drain his resources. No other reason. The case is very, very, very weak. You're going to turn one misdemeanor into 34 felonies with no real ability to be able to do it. Prosecutorial misconduct. It's not going to go anywhere. It's strictly political. Even if you hate Trump with all your heart and soul, you have to admit that this case is bullying, not for any other reason than political. Very simple. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.